This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
The NBA is a player-driven league. Adam Silver can have some power over the owners because ultimately the players always are going to have a stronger argument than the NFL players will.
Nick Morgeson.
I would take Ben Simmons for Kyrie Irving in a trade. I know, that's trading a headache for a headache. I think Kyrie Irving is the biggest headache in all of the NBA. And guess what? He's more of a headache than LeBron James is in the NBA right now.
And Nick Federa.
This is pretty much our worst nightmare. You know, if there was ever such a scenario that was, brought up of what to do in journalism school when that happens, the answer to the question was no!
Empty the Bench starts now.
They swept this under the rug like a dust bunny at a frat party.
Welcome to this frat party. Episode 108 of Empty the Bench.
Hello, fraters. You're welcome, America.
I'm Tom Albano. That's Nick Federa. That's Nick Morgeson. Gentlemen, quite a week. We could call this a variety show because we are going all over the sports world today. We had a story from just about each league, and now we have a big second story from the NBA because, well, we can't have nice things in this world, and we can't have nice people in this world, I guess.
No, we can't have nice things. We can't do anything. And you know what? I'm breaking a record. I'm sorry. This is warranted. I'm sorry. I'm crapping all over the intro. But this story came out, and now I'm ready to blow my stack like a volcano.
Now, did they say where this story was coming from?
It's going to be for ESPN. Let me make it clear. Let me make it clear. This story has not yet been published, but the NBA and the Suns are preparing for this story to be released. Probably, if I'm going to take a guess from journalism experience, probably because ESPN or whoever wrote the story went to them doing the due diligence of a journalist asking for a statement from the league.
Do you have any response to these allegations?
Exactly.
Wait a minute, ESPN. Wait a minute, where have we heard this one before? Oh, wait,
I know, kind of ironic after last week when we were talking about how Adam Schefter gave a whole story.
Yeah, I mean,
this is exactly how journalism is kind of supposed to work. So
right,
they've given us both extremes within the span of a week.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Nick, in the intro, the thing that you said about journalism and this being your worst nightmare, referring to what Adam Schefter was doing and everything, I think that's quite appropriate in this situation because Jordan Schultz, who covers the NBA, I don't know what he covers the NBA for, but I think he does a bunch of podcasts with different former players or current players, I think on Yahoo and ESPN, a bunch of other platforms. So he basically comes out, breaks the news yesterday. And by the way, Tom beat me to it again on NBA breaking news on our Twitter account at ETB Sports. I'll read it.
It was just perfect timing.
It was perfect timing.
I was browsing Twitter at the right time.
So if this is the case, now the Suns have preemptively put out a statement denying all the allegations. Of course, we don't know what the allegations are at this point.
No, we do.
They're trying to seed doubt in our heads as we read this to-be-published story, which, with my experience, with everything I've learned from old professors who've been in the business 30 years, doing a lot of work covering powerful people, it must be pretty bad, whatever this story uncovered.
What the that's my thought right now. What the fuck is going on in the NBA right now? First, you have Ben Simmons, who can't, which we'll get to after this, with his drama with the Sixers. You have a Suns owner in Robert Sarver, who can't control, allegedly, his racist and sexist and allegedly sexual harassment. And they're saying that they have enough evidence and supported claims to basically forcibly remove him. Are we going back to Donald Sterling and the Clippers all over again?
That's what it reminds me of.
And I used to think that the Donald Sterling thing was the exception and not the rule. But I mean, it really does depend on what the story says, because I'm not going to sit here and proclaim judgment for a story that none of us have read at this point. But I do have to say, the fact that the PR lackeys are scrambling to batten down the hatches is kind of a bad sign.
But wait a minute. We just had an incident, and I don't know if we're going to cover it, but the whole Enes Kanter situation where he's talking about free to bet during the Knicks-Celtics game, and now tension, which Nick and I talked about in the third episode of Beyond the Bench. Go check that out as well. And we talked about how basically they took the Sixers games off because of Daryl Morey. They're now taking the Celtics games off due to Enes Kanter. The NBA is going to have another China situation, and now we're having more sexual abuse claims. What is the NBA doing? What is Adam Silver doing?
This is really a PR. This is really a PR nightmare, because this was your Western Conference representative last year. They went to the finals. They did not win. It would be different if it was the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Orlando Magic or
I'd
anybody else.
I'd still say it's really bad when you consider just how good of a story the Suns were last year, even in their defeat. How they had all the hype around them. How everyone was feeling great about was it CP3?
Yes.
Yeah, his comeback.
But Nick, I'm going to say this again because we talk about these situations. We talked about how the Gruden situation, we apparently found out that they knew about this whole thing on Friday. Is there some hyperbole here that they possibly knew about this for quite a while, but because it was
hyperbole or hypocrisy?
Hypocrisy, right. Hypocrisy that this situation might have been known weeks ago, but finally someone had the balls to finally leak this story?
Well, because of course they wouldn't. Of course they wouldn't leak it. They're not gonna admit to a crime they haven't been accused of yet. Only an idiot does that.
Yeah, but I want to read some of the quote because the quote makes me laugh in some regard.
Are you referring to the statement from the Suns owner? I mean, the Suns.
Yeah, the CEO, the president, the CEO, Jason Rowley. So the quote goes: "The Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury organization takes very seriously our commitment to promoting a respectful, fun, competitive, and enriching work environment. And we are proud of our track record related to employee well-being. We also take seriously any allegations of racism, sexism, or harassment of any kind, which have no place in our organization and are not tolerated. With respect to the recent reports about a forthcoming ESPN article regarding Robert Sarver and our organization, I will simply say that we are aware of the false narratives it contains and plan to respond accordingly. This story is completely outrageous and false. It doesn't represent at all the Robert Sarver I've worked with alongside for 15 years. He's not a racist and he's not a sexist. I will also say that the reporter in this instance has shown a reckless disregard for the truth. He has harassed employees, former employees, and family members, used truths, half-truths, and rumors to manufacture a story in which he's heavily invested and then perpetrate a completely false narrative within the sports industry to back it up. His tactics throughout this process have been without any basis in journalism, ethics, or even morality." Are you kidding me?
Going after the journalist, that's always the classic move. But you know what this is? This is going to backfire on them, because this is like, I mean, when you're at a party and somebody whispers to you, "Don't look now, but the guy behind us, his fly is down." And what are you going to do when he tells you that? You're going to look.
I mean, that's
now that you know it's out there, people are going to be bracing for it to be bad.
And not just a bet. I mean, that is also the words that I would just said in that statement. The major accusations, those are major accusations to make against the journalists, and that's quite an answer to major accusations against your owner. Which, I mean, again, we've seen in the NBA before, and it's just so funny, guys.
If I had a guess, I'd say it'd be more than the owner that's named in that story.
Wait a minute. I can't dispute, like I say this all the time, as serious as these stories are, I can't dispute that there is some laughter in this, because as journalists who are doing their job reporting a story, you two should know this because you've been journalists and you're reporting stories. Sometimes people can't, it hurts. The truth hurts sometimes.
The truth hurts.
The truth hurts. And you know what? The humor comes from, I can tell you as an ex-journalist in training, I can tell you what the humor comes from. The humor comes from, there's a guy standing at the bottom of a cliff, and he can't see the anvil ahead of he can't see the anvil on top of him. He doesn't see it's going to fall on his head, but we can. That's where the humor comes from.
It's true.
Look at all the failure.
I mean, look at all the failure. It's true. The NBA can't get out of its own way. We know this.
I was just going to say, guys, do you remember, like, 2018, 2019, we were talking about how the potential for the NBA to one day overtake the NFL.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I think those days between the China situation, all the controversies with COVID, And now some of the storylines we're seeing so far with Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and now this, I even this you could reflect again back to Donald Sterling years ago. Like it's kind of they're kind of putting roadblocks in their own way from all the potential.
Did someone say roadblock?
I mean, it really wouldn't surprise me if Goodell somehow leaked that story.
No.
Nobody tries to overtake the NFL. Well, I'm still alive, God damn it.
Yeah, but I'm getting a little fed up. I was telling Tom before, Nick, you'll hear this now. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm getting fed up by the NBA. I thought I'd never say it. I didn't think
you're perpetually fed up with the NBA, though.
No, but I love watching the NBA. It's one of my favorite sports, and I'm getting fed up, and I don't even want to watch it.
Gentlemen, XBA.
XBA. XBA. Where there is a void, Mr. McMahon will fill it. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I am telling you, put trampolines all over the basketball court. High dunkage. People will love it.
Do that.
He will do it. Vince McMahon abhors a vacuum. If
Wait a minute.
Space, he will fill it.
But they already do that. They have that. You can go to your local whatever. I forgot what they call them.
You tell me you wouldn't pay top dollars to watch LeBron do that on a trampoline?
I wouldn't pay millions of dollars to see LeBron do anything. So how about that? But
I mean, hey, you say that, and ESPN would pay millions of dollars to watch him eat a sandwich.
That's true. You're right. But I did say it in the intro, though, and I have to. You can admit that I actually was nice about it from last week's episode. I said that LeBron James is less of a headache than Kyrie Irving is, but to put a bow on this one, I kept my word. And I said, this is what we all think about this situation.
Congratulations, dickweeds.
So basically, that's what I would say. Congratulations, Dick. There, I can't speak. Congratulations, dickweeds. You really put the NBA in a horrible spot.
And speaking of putting in a horrible spot, gentlemen, we have drama in Philadelphia. And if there's somebody I feel bad for, I feel bad for Joel Embiid. Your team and one of your closest confidants are fighting, and you have to go out there just the other day in the NBA during the Sixers game to say, support our brother, support Ben Simmons, because you don't want your good friend to, lose support, and you want to still be the team player. Man, Joel Embiid is in one rough spot.
He is, and I don't want to. Now, as far as we know, this is not Ben Simmons. Of course, context is necessary, so we must try to sum up what happened over the past week. So, Ben Simmons went to practice. He already doesn't want to be there. He's made a couple statements to basically affirming that I want out in so many words. So he goes to practice, and Doc Rivers, the head coach, wants him to do a defensive drill. He said no. He refused. So he went home. And then a couple of days later, it comes out that he had a let's call it a meeting with the team saying he wasn't mentally ready to play. This was before they had suspended him for one game due to conduct detrimental to the team.
Now, and in the middle of all this, doesn't he also go to the Sixers and say that something is wrong with his back? I mean, it gets to the point where was it Roto something? It's kind of like it's one of these places that are fantasy based sports.
Oh, Roto World.
I think it's Roto World. I need to double check that, but somebody actually put, like how they list the injuries in like parentheses, they put fake back injury.
Well, just to get this out of the way, this is what Ben Simmons is thinking about the Sixers organization.
I hate you. Get the out of here.
Because that's what he's thinking right now. He hates the Sixers organization. Now, by the way, and I forgot to put this in the quotes because all this happened like in the past couple of days.
Oh, no, correction. It wasn't Roto. It was NBA Sports Edge basketball. It actually says fake back injury.
Okay. But this whole situation happens. He goes into Sixers brass into training camp and whatever. And then he says, I have a back injury. Okay, so they go and they treat it. And then he goes in, leaves, and then it comes out that and I put the report up here, that Ben Simmons met with the Sixers medical professionals and Doc Rivers, and he basically says, I'm not mentally ready to play with the organization. Now, my first reaction to this whole thing was, who the hell are you trying to fool? Who the hell are you trying to fool by saying that you're not mentally ready to play? You want to know why you're mentally not ready to play? Because you're a basket case!
He's tanking his own trade value. You do realize that, right?
No,
one
but
thing he wants, he's not going to be able to get.
No. Timeout. Daryl Morey went on a Philadelphia radio station the other day, and he said, get used to it, strap in, and get ready, because you're not going anywhere. He actually went on a radio station and said that. So guess what? Daryl Morey's in for the long haul. It's a dick measuring contest, as Nick would say. And he'd say, who's going to win? And you know who's going to
contest.
You know who's going to win? Daryl Morey's going to win every time.
I mean, I wouldn't exactly put it in that term because I really don't want the mental image of Daryl Morey in a dick measuring contest.
No, but I'm serious.
However,
Ben Simmons just signed a contract extension with the team last offseason. You think that Daryl Morey is going to trade him now? There's no trade value for him now.
I mean, it could be. There could be. I mean, you referred to him last week as a headache, and how much more of the headache can they stand?
And now, no. You know what this is going to turn into? This is going to turn into Dwight Howard and Van Gundy with the Magic.
And of course, I must add as a caveat, I'm working under the assumption that he actually just doesn't want to play, and he's not dealing with any kind of mental health issues that they're trying to work through. Because if that's the case, then it's completely different. But since we don't know that, I'm just going to assume.
No. Here's the deal. He doesn't have any mental issues. I'm tired of this. He does not have mental issues. You know what his mental issues are if he's having them? He can't survive in Philadelphia. That's the issues he's having.
But if you can't hack it in Philadelphia, what makes you think you can hack it anywhere else?
He needs to go and find a new change of scenery, because you know why? The Philadelphia fans have destroyed his reputation ever since he decided not to make that dunk in the game, and Joel Embiid called him out. And you know what? Good on Joel Embiid for calling him out. He's the leader of this team, not Ben Simmons.
Well, again, it puts this kind of situation puts Joel Embiid in a very tough spot.
It does. I really do feel bad for him.
And you know what? And I'm sure I'm going to get shit for this anyway. Joel Embiid is better than Ben Simmons in every way, shape, or form.
I agree.
Oh, yeah. I don't think anybody's arguing that.
Ben Simmons is the biggest basket case of all time. And I didn't think I would say that, considering I'm a fan of the Nets and I'm dealing with Kyrie Irving, who won't get his vaccine. Ben Simmons, I think, is vaccinated. He just doesn't want to play.
And as for the well, he would prefer. Ooh, who would you prefer then?
Well, I said it in the intro. I would take Ben Simmons over Kyrie Irving at this point.
Still to this point?
Yeah, I still would take Ben Simmons. Because I think if you can get Ben Simmons back on the court, you will definitely get more out of Ben Simmons than Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long the Sixers, in spite of Daryl Morey's words, I don't know how long the Sixers are going to be able to go with this headache. Now, on the mental health note, again, I agree with Nick that we don't know for certain. But if this, I'm so far leaning in the case that it isn't a mental thing, he just doesn't want to be there. Now, if it isn't a mental health thing, I also think that's kind of insulting, considering the fact that we just had Kevin Love, 3-4 seasons ago,
he had
a very serious mental health issue on the court.
He went to Players Tribune and did a whole write-up on his.
I read that write-up, and that moved me. I even with all the fall of the Cavs and such over the last year since LeBron has left, I have had the utmost respect for Kevin Love in that all that he has had to go through and everything that he's had to endure in his NBA career. So
I will say right now, if Ben Simmons is lying about mental health situations and he doesn't have a true mental health situation, he should be banned from the NBA for lying and never be allowed to play in this.
I wouldn't go that far. But it's damning.
The man has no reputation. And like Nick said, if he can't play in Philly, he can't play anywhere. To be quite honest, his game doesn't really work for the NBA anyway.
Hold on. Then let's revisit your claim of I'd rather take Ben Simmons. If he can't handle it in Philly, how's he going to be able to handle New York?
It's a good point. It's a good point, Nick.
All I'm saying is I would take anybody over Kyrie Irving was my point. I didn't necessarily say it would work 100%, but I would trade Kyrie Irving for Ben Simmons because he needs a change of scenery. That's really the whole notion of getting out of Philadelphia. But the NBA is just fucked in every single way possible at this point. We had a great, and you being Knicks fans, me being Net fan, you had an unbelievable double overtime game to win the first game of the year, and it's being shadowed by Enes Kanter saying free Tibet.
It's being over Enes Kanter. Just the fact that we're in New York, it's being overshadowed by the Kyrie Irving drama.
So how are we supposed to enjoy the NBA if we're dealing with this situation with Ben Simmons or the other situation with Robert Sarver and the Suns being a sexist misogynist? That I can't even speak. I'm so angry.
Sexist misogynist.
Sexist misogynistic pig.
Wow, somebody's really angry.
I'm tired of these issues. We're dealing with this through the COVID pandemic, through the race riots that we were dealing with. Now we got to deal with all this stuff. The NBA can't win. How are you supposed to put out a quality product? And I'm asking Adam Silver, who I wish would come out and actually say something besides going on the TNT pregame show and being asked, hey, how do you get Kyrie Irving to come back on the court? Well, I'd tell Kyrie Irving, go get the shot. Go get it for your family. Go get it for your town. You really think Kyrie's going to listen to that?
Psst. XBA. Damn it.
We all end up in the warm embrace of Vince McMahon and his cheap suits.
I don't know. But you know what? It is what it is. The NBA will have to figure itself out, but we have a Texas-sized situation to deal with.
I was going to say, speaking of potential trades, rumor has it, as Adele once sang, that Deshaun Watson could be traded from the Houston Texans to the Miami Dolphins. In fact, was it John McClain who down in Houston?
Yeah,
down in Houston, who has been covering the Texans and the NFL for years, and I mean years,
40 plus. Yep.
Has stated that it could have happened as soon as this week. Now, this week is technically over, but it could happen within the next week. So there's a lot to unpack with a potential deal like this. You have what could happen with Deshaun Watson in terms of the legal allegations against him just in the courtroom, because that's still, as far as we know, haven't been officially handled, whether it's from a ruling or a settlement. We still don't know what the NFL is going to do because they're not going to act until there is an official, an official ruling or settlement with the court issue. Like the NFL can't do anything until the legal issues are set up. You've got Tua Tagovailoa, who, what's going to happen with him? Is he going to have to go to Houston in this deal? Is he going to be willing to be a backup to Deshaun Watson? We don't know what the plan is with that.
He's going to have to be traded.
He might just be return. He might just be the return from Miami to.
I mean, Houston's in a complete rebuild mode, so you may as well get a young quarterback and a young, pretty decent quarterback, if not good quarterback like Tua is.
Tua's not a bust. Tua's not a bust. Tua is just in the wrong situation.
I'll say this: Tua hasn't lived up to the potential that he could have had, but it's not like he's not he's not, oh my God, what's his name? From the 2007 draft. The number 1 pick.
Oh, I can't.
From the Raiders.
Jamarcus Russell?
Jamarcus Russell, yes.
God, I haven't.
You could also have used, God, what was his name?
Josh Rosen?
Yeah.
Wait, the guy that's been on a million teams by now?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. And maybe I shouldn't be allowed to talk about this because I've been blocked a million times by Deshaun Watson already. And
block.
I mean, hey, Deshaun, I'm living rent-free in your head, so I'm okay with it. But
he sees you when he closes his eyes at night.
Good, I'm glad. Well, that's a little scary, but I'll take it. So the whole way I would explain this with Deshaun Watson needs a change of scenery. We all agree with that at this point. And he's not He's not going to play for Houston. We know that.
He's not
But
going to play for Houston, and I'm still sticking to that.
Actually, that is another caveat. Even if all the legal issues clear up and the NFL gives him, whether it's a true game or a 10 game or a season-long game, Deshaun doesn't want to be in Houston anyway.
Well, right, but
I didn't want to be in Houston before all the legal stuff happened because B.O.B., the genius that he is, decided to trade DeAndre Hopkins at the start of 2020.
The thing I was going to say is we're already almost halfway through the season anyway. So he might not, by the time the legal issues play out, he might get suspended for the rest of the season anyway. So
maybe into the 2022 season.
But let's just say, like, we hear of a suspension by week 8. They might just say, all right, you're done for the season. And then, so you're basically trading for his next couple seasons is what you're doing at this point.
Right. No, I was going to say, and the fact of the, what's going to happen with Tua and stuff. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when the rumor was he was going to land with the Eagles, and we were talking about what was going to happen with Jalen Hurts.
I don't think anyone knows. The legal issues are going to tell it all. Because if, let's say,
legal issues are going
to drop.
Yeah.
Let's say if he's guilty. If he's guilty, he's not going to play ever again, to be quite honest.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know if it's going to be a legal ruling, if it's going to be a settlement. To be honest, about what could happen with Deshaun's career and the career of any of these potential moves like Tua and Jalen Hurts and whatnot, we were just talking about the blinking contest between Daryl Morey and Ben Simmons. It's going to be a blinking contest between, does the legal ruling happen and the NFL suspension happen first, or does the trade happen first? And right now, it seems like a trade is going to happen first before any of the other stuff resolves.
But are we going to F this one up like we did with the Ray Rice situation where he got 2 games and then all of a sudden Roger Goodell said, oh, shit, wait a minute, it should be 10 games, not 2. No.
Commissioner list exempted and Ray Rice never plays again.
Or he could just do the financial thing and go 1 check, 2 check, 3 check, 4, 5 check, 6 check, 7 check, more.
So, I mean, we gotta wait for this trade to play out. We gotta see, first of all, if it's even gonna happen. These are all just rumors right now.
Yeah. Rumor has it. Rumor has it. I don't know. Just to put a bow on this one, I could care less what happens to Deshaun Watson at this point. I mean, if he never played again, I'd be happy with that. So I could care less after that stunt he pulled on social media where he's just blocking everybody because he's a public figure and he thinks that we're gonna stop talking about him. Good luck. We're gonna talk about you more if you do that.
All right. Speaking of one case, we go from one case to another. We go to the NHL. Evander Kane. Well, there's good news and there's bad news for you, Mr. Kane. The good news is your TV stuff apparently has been cleared up. There's no charges. There's no suspension or whatnot. The bad news, well, you've been suspended for 21 games anyway because it's been determined that you have submitted no joke, a fake COVID vaccination card.
See, I'd like to know, is it like those fake Oakleys you buy at the stand in the mall? Actually, do they even do that anymore? But where Oakley was spelled wrong?
No, this
or
is
Rolex
like
had 3 X's?
No, this is like what's it called? The fake IDs you would get when you're a teenager and when you want to buy a drink and you have a photo of a name that's not you, of a person who's clearly not you.
Yeah. I'm Brian St. John.
I mean, I hate to say this though, but why are you walking around with a fake COVID vaccination card?
I mean, you should have known it was fake when it said he got the Pfizer vaccine. So, I mean, at a certain point, it's like, yes, we found out you're not a scumbag for this reason, but then we find out you're a scumbag for a completely different reason.
Well, let's be real. This guy has had a history of scumbagness. He was accused in 2016 of assaulting a woman. He was accused of trespassing before. He's been accused. Remember the Cosmopolitan had a whole thing?
The gambling thing you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they were able to look at all the betting slips and they said he didn't do anything? Is the NHL turning into the NFL where they're just going to hide behind everything and make excuses?
I mean, if you think this is not what Gary Bettman has been doing for years, what have you been looking at? Have you been paying attention? This is why hockey fans hate Gary Bettman.
Hey, Evander, I know what you're listening to. sitting on the sideline for being an idiot. That's the best way I can put it.
I'm surprised that Bettman didn't bring the hammer down harder, especially considering he endangered his other teammates in San Jose. And
Wait a minute. And Nick, you would know the answer better than I would. Isn't this technically a federal offense?
Technically, since a lot of COVID vaccine mandates fall on a state-by-state basis, there's no federal mandate for.
But isn't this technically identity theft? If you think about it in a sense,
if there was a fake name and that name turned out to be a real person that shared the same information, yeah, technically it's identity theft.
Yeah, but actually, technically, you're lying and getting away with it. I mean, I guess there's no federal offense for lying, but I just why would
you know how many people in professional sports would be in jail if lying was illegal?
No, I'm talking about this situation where you technically have a fake. This is a legal document in a sense, isn't it? A vaccination card?
Essentially, but it falls more under state jurisdiction because there is no federal standard. There is no federal standard
and we're still
for vaccine cards.
Right, and we're still. I mean, this whole thing. This is still kind of new. This is still a 2021 thing. The vaccine wasn't available until 2021. We're still trying to figure things out. And again,
there
like Nick
should
was saying,
be a federal standard.
Again, like Nick was talking about, but like the precedents and the precedents and what's it called? The strictness. It's say here in New York and in California is different from say Iowa or Nebraska or Texas or Florida. Every state is very different. Every state is.
Again, it varies state by state. You can get 50 different answers depending on which state you're in.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't do it.
The NHL should probably have a standard, and the federal government, more like I said, should have a standard. But again, I'm not the one making I'm not the one in charge here.
Yeah, but you know what? I put this under stupidity because that's where I think this whole thing belongs. This is the stupidity clause. Come on. Don't fake a COVID-19 card. What the hell are you doing?
I don't know what the hell he's doing.
I mean, to be quite honest, he shouldn't play the rest of the season for endangering people.
He probably will, but that's more of a Gary Bettman should have suspended him more than anything else.
I mean, how many games are we into the season so far?
We are about 10 games into the season, I think.
And how many games is because I don't know hockey 100% well. How many games are there in the regular season?
Did they change?
82.
Yeah, 82. Yeah.
It's like the NBA.
So he's only getting 1/4 of the season as a suspension?
Pretty
Welcome
much.
to the NHL.
Welcome to sports.
That's why
Sports
I said
ball.
1 check, 2 check, 3 check, 4, 5 check, 6 check, 7 check, more.
No, 1 check, 2 check.
Yeah, hey, thank you, Count. Thank you, Count. I really appreciate that, Count.
Wow, we haven't used that joke in a long time.
All right. This one's gonna be quite the topic, but what are your guys' thoughts on Aaron Boone coming back?
Okay. So I've had a lot of time to tumble this over in my brain, and I realize that with the same managerial structure in place, meaning the same front office, Brian Cashman and his army of computer-toting nerds, with that same structure in place, and that ain't going anywhere. If you had fired Aaron Boone, you would only get another Aaron. You would get Aaron Boone 2.0. You'd get
Right.
Aaron Boone with a bigger college education.
Well, that's the thing.
And an ill-fitting suit.
Well, that's the thing. The only real people who would be like available if you fired Boone were going to be the old school kind of managers, like a Buck Showalter and company.
They don't believe in conducting business like that.
No. Which it doesn't matter if any of us believe in it. It's a matter of does Brian Cashman go into that? And Cashman is not going to do that.
Sign me up.
Not going to do that.
Wait a minute. Sign me up for the old-fashioned manager. That's what the Yankees need at this point. I'm tired of the number punching monkeys that are in a room that are basically saying,
but again, Nick, but I don't believe they would have success right now, whether they have an old or new school manager, because guess what? Like Nick just said, the front office is the same people.
The way this is constructed as of right now, they're not good enough. And of course, we can argue all day about whose fault it actually was. But then it turns out, the fault was inside of all of us all along. But that being the case, it's not a question of the analytics. Analytics as a whole don't work because the Astros use it, the Braves use it, all the teams that are still alive, the Dodgers use it a ton.
Don't even get me
The
started.
Astros use it, so it's not a question, and they use it more than the Yankees. So it's not a question of it doesn't work. It's a question of the analytics that the Yankees have been using haven't worked.
Don't even get me.
What the computers have been telling the nerds is wrong.
But here's the other part to it. Whether you're for analytics or against analytics, you know what I'm completely against more? The Yankees trying to be like the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh,
exactly.
You do not need to limit your number.
Trying to dumpster dive in small market. The fact that worked once, and
you have money.
Once
you have money. I'm tired of trying to say, "Well, we're going to dump this side. We're going to dump this side."
You are not the 2010s to 2020s Rays. You are not the 2001 Moneyball Athletics. You are the New York Yankees.
But they keep talking about the luxury tax. The luxury tax.
Because
you're the Yankees. You can afford to pay it.
Nick, because this is not George Steinbrenner we're talking about. This is Hal.
But wait. I need to ask a bunch of questions. 1 3-year contract plus a club option for Aaron Boone, a guy that hasn't made the World Series yet.
Which means they are all in on him. And that means that Cashman's coming back too.
Which means, guess what? Which means which means in typical journalism fashion, sport, it goes to the top. Maybe the problem is with ownership.
No.
Maybe.
I would say
again, I will give Cashman credit. He did say it's my fault. I didn't construct this.
Right, but then it goes back to the question I had a week or two ago. This whole thing that we're talking about the Yankees and their prestige in the 20s. Is this that same Yankees?
No,
it's that for marketing, but I think that era of Yankee is dead.
Wait a minute.
Maybe 20 years before we see another World Series.
Wait a second. So Hal is all about the money, not the players' money, the team making money. He does not want to spend, but unfortunately, he's going to have to go spend on a shortstop this year because Gleyber Torres was awful.
But again, he's more of a second baseman by trade, as they finally admitted today, or not even today, last week. But you have to understand something. You're right in that Hal Steinbrenner is only concerned about making the team money hand over fist, which he does. But you have to, I think you should disabuse yourself of the notion that the Yankees and Hal Steinbrenner and the Steinbrenner family at large were not operating the same way that a lot of owners do. George was just able to talk a big game. He was saying, I want to win, I want to win, I want to win, I want to win.
Well,
the entire generation of fans bought it.
But you know what else George did that not a lot of owners do? Like if he had an issue with, say, Jeter or A-Rod or something about their contracts, or he was trying to bring another person in, he would say, let me meet with them.
Well, that's the problem. That's where I disagree, Nick, that Hal is only worried about the ambiance.
In other words, wait, are we saying in other words that Hal isn't as hands-on?
He's not. We know
it's obvious he's not.
Yeah.
Ryan Cashman. Wait a minute.
I'll tell you that.
Wait, Ryan Cashman is the puppet of the organization, where basically Hal says, hey, you see that guy? I want him. Make it happen. That's what Hal is. Tom is absolutely right. Back in the day, when George was still alive and he wanted somebody, what do you think he did? He personally called the agent. He personally spoke to the player without breaking tampering rules, obviously, and saying, I want you. Here's a blank check. Tell me how much you want. Hal, on the other hand, has let players walk away over the past couple of years.
At a certain point, you got to stop trying to be cute and just spend like the Yankees are supposed to.
If the Yankees don't go after Carlos Correa this offseason, the Yankee fans are going to have a riot.
No, the Yankees fans are going to riot if they do go after Carlos Correa.
I mean, I would say there's one person I wouldn't mind Carlos Correa, but there's one shortstop in mind who I would prefer more to Carlos Correa.
Trevor Story.
Okay, two shortstops I would prefer.
Marcus
Trevor Story.
Semien.
No.
Who is it?
Corey Seager.
Corey Seager.
Oh, I would take Corey Seager.
He's a little older, so I don't know. I don't know.
I wouldn't say he's older, but like
you need,
okay,
you
but
need contact hitters, though. You do.
Corey
You
Seager
need
is a
people that
contact
get
hitter.
Corey Seager is a contact hitter.
You
Yeah.
need more than one of them, though.
Well, that's on
Oh,
the Yankees to figure
wait.
that out.
Wait, if DJ was actually healthy, you would have another contact hitter.
Yes, but you need more than just one of him.
You what do you also need? You also need one thing, which I think played a big and bad role last year.
Pitching?
No, well, that's an obvious. That's always going to be an obvious when Cashman is around as general manager.
Because
But-
he can't develop pitching to save his life.
Look what you did with Davy Garcia. What a fall. But there is another thing. Remember that 2019, guys? We had righty, lefty, switchy, righty, lefty, switchy, lefty.
You're a full righty lineup now.
You're not going to have success with a full righty.
And bringing Rizzo and Gallo in. We're just putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Oh, wait a minute. I like Rizzo, by the way.
I think with Rizzo and Gallo, it was a matter of, it was good. It was also 2 months too late. Yeah, you should have done that in May, June.
Well,
not
You should have done that coming out in spring training, like Brian Cashman said he wanted to.
No, I don't know. I don't think Gallo is going to be here in the long term. I just don't see it. I think they're going to trade him for pitching help, is what I think is going to happen in the near future. Because Gallo looked uncomfortable in a Yankee uniform. He really did.
Honestly, I really don't. I really couldn't say, because at a certain point, it's like when you're not winning, of course you look uncomfortable.
No, but
All
he was hurt a lot.
All right, let's wrap up. Before we get to the rapid rundown, guys, the Houston Astros won last night. They will be playing in the World Series for the third time in 5 years. And the NLCS, unfortunately, the Dodgers won. So, unfortunately, in terms of the show, we don't have a solid World Series matchup. However, we do have to go on with a prediction because it is our last show before the World Series begins, because the World Series is technically scheduled to start on Tuesday, I believe. So
Yes,
we have to give a prediction, even though we don't have an NLCS winner yet. So we have the Astros taking on either the Braves, or we have the Astros taking on the Dodgers in a 2017 rematch.
It's gonna be Astros Braves. I
It's
think
going to be Astros Braves too, I think. And credit to Dusty.
I said in the minute, I feel good about one person on that Astros team, and that's Dusty. Imagine if you're Dusty. You're an old school kind of manager, and you have to go in because of the Astros whole scandal, and you have to be pretty much the leader of this team. That is, the people are uncertain. They already have a bad reputation. People are uncertain if the Astros are even going to survive, with the like of George Springer and company starting to leave, Garrett Cole going to the Yankees, and guess what happens? He takes this team to the World Series.
I hate to be cliche, but it's cleaning up the trash.
Yeah, I mean,
This is
at this point it is. I mean,
it's an example. It's an example of an old school manager working in the 2020s above expectations.
I'll give Dusty all the credit in the world. Like you said, Tom and I were talking about this last night, that like you have to kind of give him credit. And I said, you know what? You're right. I have to give him some credit, because he walked into a situation that actually no one wanted to walk into at that point. Nobody, not even the top managers, wanted to walk in there. And Dusty came in, pulled in the reins. I didn't like the way the press conferences went after that whole situation, because Bregman and Altuve completely lied to the public when they said that there was no real issues and all that stuff. But I'll give Dusty credit that he pulled the reins in. He told them, guys, we got to get past this. And they won. I'm not happy about it, because as a Yankee fan, I'm going to stew on the Astros forever. But I have to give them credit, because they played to win at this point.
At a certain point, I think they've embraced their, if I may borrow a wrestling term, their status as the heels of the NBA, of the MLB, and they are the heels. And with Dusty, it's like, Hulkamania era Hulk Hogan, being dropped in to lead the NWO.
Wait, I'll say one more thing, and tell me if you guys believe. Do you think that the Astros are the new evil empire?
Evil in terms of, yes, they cheated, yes.
In general.
Well, I mean, the Yankees haven't done anything in the last 2 seasons to be the strong Yankees that they've been.
No, not
There's
that.
a team that everybody outside of their home city loves to hate.
That's it.
I
Yeah.
don't know if they will I don't know if they will ever overtake the Yankees in that department, but they are a good second. They are a close second, if anything. So now first let's break it down. Let's say the Braves win. Let's say we go with our expectations. The Braves win. The Braves make it to the World Series for the first time since the 90s. Who would you have in the World Series between the Astros and Braves?
I would take the Astros because I think the Braves are great. I think the Braves are just hot at the right time. But the Astros seem to be able to hit anything.
Not just that, but I also think the Astros, they had the World Series experience. The Braves, again, I said it because I was uncertain about them before because I was predicting the Giants and then later the Dodgers because the Dodgers had beaten the Giants and they were both the 100-win teams. The Braves are great, but they're still a little too young. Maybe next year, maybe the year after, they could be World Series champs or just win the pennant. But they might win the pennant this year. But against an experienced team like the Astros and experienced Dusty Baker, who is now one step closer to finally winning a World Series as a manager, he already has one as a player. For an Astros Braves, I think I would have to go with the Astros in like 6 games.
I mean, the way this goes, like, are we going to see one of those weird situations where each team wins all their games at their home stadium? And obviously, because the
Astros reverse.
Well, and right,
that happened in 2017. We had the reverse.
Oh, where they all won in each other's stadium. But
yeah.
But I would say because obviously the Astros have the better record, they're going to have the extra game in the World Series. I think this goes 7 games, and I think that the Astros are going to win on some kind of ridiculous play, a la Dodgers-Giants check swing situation, which is still going viral around social media. But I think we're all going to be stewing as the Astros are going to be hoisting the World Series trophy. I, for one, am still going to be angry at the Astros for everything they've done. And actually, did you guys see that there was an alleged cheating situation with the Astros already during this post?
Because of course.
Of course, it had to be like that.
Now, let's say the Astros-Dodgers happens. Let's say the Dodgers pull off the comeback this weekend and end up beating the Braves, and we get this 2017 rematch. Are the Dodgers good enough to get revenge and become back-to-back champs?
Yes.
Oh, God, that one would hurt me. If it's Astros-Dodgers, I'm just going to be cursing up a storm watching this whole world.
But with how the Dodgers are and all the pieces that they added, yes, I agree. I think the Astros win if it's Astros-Braves. I think the Dodgers win if it's Dodgers-Stros.
The Dodgers we've seen actually have holes. We've seen it.
We've seen them have holes, but they were also the second best team in baseball this season.
It also hurts the Dodgers that Justin Turner has done for the postseason with the basically exploding hamstring running down first base. That hurts. You have to admit that hurts in a big way.
It hurts.
So,
but I still believe in. I think it'll be a struggle. I think it'll be another 7-game series if it's Astros-Dodgers, but I still believe in the Dodgers. I still believe in them as the champs.
I think the Astros win if they play the Dodgers.
Either way, either if it's Braves-Dodgers.
That's a interesting. Well, no, well, you asked me if it was Astros-Dodgers. I would take.
It would be well, Nick and I said if it's Astros-Braves, it's the Stros. Do you agree on that one?
That's a tough one. I think
Are you gonna go against us in both ways and say if it's Braves, if it's Astros-Braves?
I think that would be an entertaining series if it was Astros-Braves. I think that's a lot closer than the other series. So my rooting interest would want to take the Braves, but I'm not dumb enough to say that the Astros are going to lose. The Astros are going to beat the Braves if that happens. I would want the Braves to win, though.
I know. I second that. All right. One more story. You guys are big hot on very quick before we get into Washington State firing Nick Rolovich as head football coach because he's refused the COVID vaccine.
Thank you, Mr. Cuckoo Clock. So, yeah, this is just ridiculous.
Nick and I stewed on this one for a while.
Yes, we did, and I did an ETB minute about it where I was sick and tired of playing amateur epidemiologist. So I'll say this: when the Pope says it's okay for you to get a vaccine, it's kind of a bad look if you're citing Catholic faith as to why you don't want to get a simple vaccine. Could it just be that you're selfish, easily swayed by misinformation? I'm gonna go with two of them. I'm gonna go with both of them.
I mean, I hate to say this, but stupidity cost somebody their job again. And we don't have time to talk about it. I just want to mention it in one sentence. Allison Williams for ESPN as well, who went on her crying misfit on YouTube saying, I lost my job because I didn't get the vaccine. No, you lost it because you're a moron.
But if you want more information on that, check out Beyond the Bench episode number 3 now?
Yeah, number
3. So episode number 3, it's available on the YouTube channel. So go check it out. But right now, we got rapid rundown that we got to get into.
Oi.
So we begin in East Rutherford, Panthers and the Giants. The Panthers only a 1.5 point favorite, maybe because it's a road matchup for them.
Generous.
Especially considering Tony and Kadarius Tony and Saquon Barkley are going to be out. So therefore, my hopes and dreams for this week are out. Therefore, I'm picking the Panthers.
Hopes and dreams for this week. I'd say for this season already.
Yeah, take the money. Take the money.
I think I know why they're like this. I think it's because the Panthers have, and I can admit they have looked weak right before. Over the last couple of weeks, they have looked pretty weak, but you know what? It's still the first half of the season technically, and technically they have some pretty good wins already.
And
so
Sam Darnold has kind of come back to earth a little bit.
Yeah. But despite all that, I'm still going Panthers. Falcons, Dolphins. The Falcons a 2.5 favorite. I mean, Tua is back, but the Dolphins still look lost. I mean, to lose to Jacksonville in London.
This line almost was going to be affected depending on if there was a trade going on, but obviously it didn't happen. But yeah, this is bad. This is bad football.
This is a really bad matchup. But you know what? I'll take Matt Ryan's experience, I guess. I don't know if I can take the Dolphins at home after losing to Jacksonville in London. I got to go Falcons.
Yeah.
I'm going with Falcons too.
Take the money.
Washington and Green Bay. Green Bay, the 7.5 point favorite in Lambeau. Take the money.
Yeah, take the money. I'm going with Green
Take the money and run.
Okay, this one's interesting. Bengals, Ravens. Ravens 6.5 point favorite.
This is great. This is a great matchup.
This is a great divisional matchup.
Yeah, we didn't expect Burrow to come out and really play his ass
Talk
off.
for yourself. I said if this Bengals team was healthy, it's young enough and good enough to really make some noise. And the Ravens, they are also making some noise. They're trying to, I know sometimes they look like they can struggle, but I mean, this is a Ravens team that won a couple of big games early on in this season, and they're at home, and their defense is still pretty good. This is a good matchup. It's a tough matchup.
They're a top 5 combo, quarterback, wide receiver, him and Jamar Chase. They're going to be part of the future to come.
I'm going to go with the Ravens, I think.
I think the Ravens defense will be a little too much. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to take that line. I think the Bengals will ensure that line is, not met, but I still will take the Ravens to win by like a field goal.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I think that the Ravens, it's like going back and forth in my head. I don't know who to pick. I like the Bengals. They're playing great, but the Ravens are playing really well also defensively. So, just because I'm unsure, I'm obviously going to take the favorite because I'm unsure. So I'm not going to take the money, but I'm going to take them to win by a field goal.
Jets, Patriots.
1, 2, 3.
Patriots. J-O-K-E. Joke. You know what? In one of my bigger fantasy leagues, I have to start Mac Jones because Herbert's on the bye this week. A lot of teams on the bye this week, unfortunately. So I'm praying to the chagrin of Nick Morgeson that Mac Jones has a very big game.
Congratulations, dickweeds.
Okay, you want a good game? You want a big game? Here you go. Chiefs, Titans.
So the Chiefs have surprised me by how mortal they've looked recently. So I'm going to go with the Titans.
I will take. You know what? Wait, Nick Morgeson, you had something you wanted to add?
They had a huge comeback victory last week.
They did, but it shouldn't have gone to the point of a comeback, shouldn't
Yeah,
it?
well, he threw 2 horrible picks, including the one that he was falling down and threw it up in the air. That was embarrassing. That was not Patrick Mahomes at all. I don't know what's going on with him.
You know what? Screw it. Nick Federa, I'm taking the trip with you to upset City. Titans.
Ugh. I mean, you have the top running back in all the NFL who had the longest run of the year on, what was it, Thursday Night Football?
Yeah.
And for 76 yards. And
Monday Night Football. Football.
Excuse me, Monday Night Football, and had 76 yards. Looks amazing. Derrick Henry looks amazing. I'm taking the Titans in the upset with both of you.
Lions and the Rams. We're about to have some ridiculous lines now. The Rams are a 16.5-point favorite. I think that's disrespectful to Jared Goff, just like his coach's comments were.
Oh my God.
I think the Rams will still win by like 10, 16.5. Like
Yeah,
touchdowns on field goals. Ridiculous.
I have a hard time taking that line, so I'll take like 14.
I mean, I thought that line was a real joke. Seriously, was someone drunk in Vegas and just said, hey, you know what? I'm going to create controversy and make a 16.5-point line.
And you think that's bad? We got another one coming up.
Wait. So I'm going to say the Rams are going to win. We know this for a fact that the Rams are going to win. But it's not going to be by 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Come on. No way. They're going to win, but that line is ridiculous.
Watch the Lions come back and win this game.
I mean, don't count out Jared Goff for all that he has done.
I would literally bet the Lions to hold that line. I would. There's no way that's covered.
Eagles and the Raiders. Well, you know what, guys? Even with the sock puppet out, the Raiders looked like they hadn't lost a step last week.
So I'm going to have to go for upset city again and say the Eagles are going to take advantage of that.
What? I think the Raiders looked too good last week. I'm saying take the money. Raiders with the line.
Oh, great. Now I'm the rock in the hard place.
You have to split. You have the split vote.
I mean, the Raiders, like Tom said, they looked better last week because there's no mental insanity over their heads.
I wasn't gonna say that. I said they looked like they hadn't lose a step. I didn't say they looked better.
No, I'm just saying I'm saying mentally they look better because there's no insanity over their heads. The Eagles, I can't really put heads or tails on them. The NFC least is where I go with that excuse with the Eagles.
Right now, the only NFC East team that looks good is the Cowboys, unfortunately.
Just remember, though, anything between 1 and 3 is a pick-em, so you could really go either way. But I'm going to say take the money and take the Raiders. But it's going to be ugly.
I agree. It's going to be ugly. Speaking of ugly, you thought 16.5 was something? How about the Cardinals with a -18 over Houston?
It's only because 50 bajillion is a made-up number. Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Cardinals,
but that's not a cover.
Yeah, not that line, but Cardinals.
Yeah.
Okay. We got the Bears and the Buccaneers, 11.5. See,
that's kind of lopsided too.
It's lopsided, but you know what? With considering Brady and company and just how Fields, I give up on. Not that I give up on Fields, but right now the Bears look absolutely
in a bad
lost.
situation.
That honestly, I am going to.
X.
Shut up, Aaron. Because guess what? I'm taking the Bucks, and I'm taking that line. I'm taking the money. I think it'll be that bad.
All right, I'll agree with you. I'll take the money.
I mean, speaking of Aaron, who basically owned Bears fans last week.
Oh, that was great.
I mean, on Beyond the Bench, we talked about how Aaron is being canceled and hating woke culture.
Of course, he trolls like a 7-year-old. He's a 7-year-old at heart.
I mean, when you look up and you see a Bears fan, that woman giving the double bird after scoring a touchdown, he kind of deserves to say he owns the Bears fans.
I own you. I still own you.
Hey, all you had to do was point to the scoreboard.
I mean, I'm not taking the money, but I'm definitely taking the Bucks to win.
Sunday Night Football. I want to go vomit somewhere. The
Ouch.
49ers and the Colts. I'm only going to take the 49ers. I'm going to take that line only because it's such a cheap line.
It's a pitiful game, so I'm going to have to take the Niners out of habit.
Instead of vomiting, I'll do this instead.
How much you want to bet Collinsworth, Al and Collinsworth are going to end up, getting bored halfway through and just talking about crochet techniques?
Now here's a technique.
Well, let's see. The Colts, the only guy that I really care about on the Colts was Jonathan Taylor, the running back. And Carson Wentz with his 2 sprained ankles. I'm going to make that joke every week just because I can.
I mean, they have Elijah Mitchell, the Niners, going as their lead running back, I think. I don't know. I still don't know. I guess they're going with Garoppolo again, or I don't know if they're going to mix in.
Can we get one of those old-fashioned things that we used to make in middle school, like where you flip the things back and forth? All right, how many times do you want to flip? 8 times. Will Carson Wentz be the quarterback today? Oh, try again later. Damn it! Niners, and they're going to cover. Take the money!
Monday Night Football. This could have been so much better, but Russell Wilson's out, and Chris Carson, I think, is going to be out still. This is sad.
So I'm going to have to take the Saints by that line.
So is this the NFL getting back at Monday Night Football after having 2 decent games in a row?
Well,
this is the universe evening itself out, is what it is.
I would have taken the Hawks, and this would have been a better game if Russell Wilson and Chris Carson were here, but it's not, so it's going to be crap, and it's going to be the Saints winning.
Take the money!
Okay, but we'll end on one good note. Thursday night, week 8, 3 nights before Halloween. Here you go. Packers, Cardinals.
That's a treat.
Oh, baby.
Oh, boy. Now we don't have the line yet because it's far out, but I
honestly
going to go. I'm going to assume that the Packers are going to have the line, so I'm going to go for upset city and say the Cardinals are going to take that one.
I am going. I don't know who would have the line, but the Cardinals, I assume, are going to come in. The Cardinals actually, are they on the? No, they're coming in off the game against the Texans. So considering that, they're going to still come into this game undefeated, and I think they leave undefeated. I think they have the ability to beat Green Bay.
I believe in Kyler Murray,
and we have seen a couple times where the Green Bay can be mortal. Aaron Jones has had a couple of games where he hasn't looked himself. Aaron Rodgers sometimes can, he struggled that first week. You know what? I think the Cardinals, they're firing on all cylinders. I think it's Arizona.
Yeah, the Cardinals are going to have the line. I'm just telling you right now, because they're the undefeated team, they're going to be the favorite on the point spread.
And they're home. This is
and they're home. Oh, right. So they're at home. I think they're going to have the line, and I think that the Cardinals are going to possibly embarrass the Packers just because I think the Cardinals are so great offensively and defensively. I think the Cardinals are going to win. I think they win by a touchdown.
Now, the problem that we have right now is the Cardinals are dealing with a COVID situation.
Oh, right, because they don't have
Chandler Jones. They don't have their head coach. But first of all, regardless, they shouldn't be losing to the Texans in week 7. No, you can't do that. You can't have a win like. I know that, it might be a little tougher against the Packers, but the Cardinals still look fine. Again, Murray looks great. DeAndre looks great. James Conner and Chase Edmonds in the running back game look great. I think I still got to go with the Cardinals, even with their COVID stuff.
Yeah, I would go with remaining undefeated at this point.
Go with the Cardinals until they're undefeated no more, I guess.
Well, depends.
Depends on the matchup, I guess.
If they win this week, I think we should go through the rest of the schedule next week and see where we think their losses are going to be, if they have a loss.
Yeah.
They'd be the first 17-0 team, by the way.
All right, that's going to do it. That was fun. That was packed. Make sure you're following us at Empty the Bench on Facebook, at ETB Sports on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You'll see our personal Twitter scrolling across the bottom. Here on YouTube, make sure to give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and when you subscribe, please ring that bell. You're going to get all of us. You're going to get Beyond the Bench. You're going to get Here Now, the news. There might be a couple of new podcasts starting up very soon.
There are a bunch of new podcasts starting up very soon, and you don't want to miss any of that hot action. Oh my God, I made it worse.
Hint, hint, there might be one coming in a few days. Just saying.
So ring that bell so that you're the first to know about everything. Not just us.
Ring the bell! Ring the bell!
And that's going to do it for Empty the Bench 108. For Nick Federa, Nick Morganson, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Good night, everybody!
Good night!